Did you know that 9 out of 10 candidates fail this one simple interview question? When I asked them in the interview, what is your company's unique selling proposition or USP? Most candidates freeze. Why? Because many of them give a vague, forgettable answer. For example, we have a great product or we have the best customer service. And within seconds, I can tell that this person really doesn't understand how the business works. In this video, I am going to show you exactly how you can research, analyze, and explain the USP of your company like a strategic finance professional. By the end of this video, you will know how to connect financial performance to competitive advantage, which is exactly what makes you stand out in FP&A interviews. So let us dive in. But before even jumping into the how, let us first talk about why this question is so tricky in interviews and why it is more than just a product knowledge test. When a hiring manager is asking you about the company's USP, they are not just checking that if you have memorized the company's marketing slogan. What they are testing is whether you know how money actually flows through the business. Think about it. Modern FP&A isn't just about reporting numbers. It is about understanding the drivers behind those numbers. So if you answer something like we have a great product or a great customer service, here is what you have just told them. First, you haven't dug deep into the revenue streams. Second, you can't tell the difference between a feature and a true competitive advantage. And third, you may not be able to forecast properly or accurately because you don't know what actually fuels the business growth. Now, I have seen this happen multiple times in interviews. I once interviewed someone coming from a logistics company. I asked that person what is the USP, and the candidate said it is reliable delivery. I followed up asking a question: how does that give your company pricing power or better retention to compare to your competitors? And the candidate could not answer that. That movement could have costed him the interview and the job. The truth is that this question is testing three big areas. First, can you read the financial statements and spot the profit drivers? Second, do you know your customer segments well enough to explain why they choose you over the competitors? And finally, can you connect the company strategy to the economic value? If you can't, you are not showing business acumen. And without that, budgeting, forecasting, and scenario planning all becomes guesswork. So before we talk about how to find the USP, let us be first clear on what actually it is and what it is not. A USP isn't what you do or what the company does. It is why people pick your product or service instead of someone else. Here is a quick example of a pizza chain. A weak USP is that we make delicious pizzas, while compare this to a stronger USP: fresh, hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or it is free. What is the difference? The second one is specific, measurable, and most importantly, tied to a promise that matters to the customer. Strong USPs have three parts. First, they identify a real customer need. Second, they show how you meet the need better than others. And third, you back it up with proof. And here is the FP&A twist. The best USPs show up in numbers. Maybe it is slightly higher margins, maybe it is lower customer churn, or maybe it is faster revenue growth. If you can point to those in an interview, you have just given a bulletproof answer. All right. Now that you know what a USP really is, let us get into the step by step blueprint for finding one for your organization before the next interview. On a quick side note, if you are serious about growing your career in FP&A, then do check out our Certified Global FP&A Professional Program. CGFPA is a 6-month accredited certification in FP&A designed to help you become real business partners. If that sounds something you would be interested in, links are in the description. Also, there are a bunch of free resources that you can download on FP&A, including books and free courses. You will find all the links in the description. Coming back to the video. Now, the good part is finding your company's USP isn't a guesswork. It is a step-by-step process. Here is a 4-step method. Step number 1, analyze the financial statements. Look for where the money is coming from. Ask which products or services drive the most revenue and which product or services have the highest margins. For example, if 80% of a SaaS company's revenue comes from one scalable product with 80% margins, that is probably tied to a solid USP. Step number 2, map out the business model. Ask, how does a company make money? For example, a subscription model might mean that the USP is about either convenience or recurring value. For a transactional model, it might be different. It might focus on the USP of speed or variety. Step number 3, study the customer journey. find that aha moment. For example, for the software company Stack, it was when the teams sent their first 2000 messages. That's the point when free users actually converted to paid subscribers. Finally, step number 4, benchmark with your competitors. Find out the gaps that they can't fill. For example, one retailer discovered their USP was free alterations, something the competitors charged for. That showed up in higher repeat order values. If you follow these 4 steps, you will have a solid USP backed by hard data and not vague claims. To see how all this comes together, next, let us look at a real world example. You must have heard about the software company Slack. Most people think Slack's USP is real time messaging, but so is for dozens of other applications. Here is what the number says: 88% of Slack's revenue come from paid plans. Large enterprises, which are 500 plus users, make up 43% of its revenues. Retention rates are over 90% once the teams hit 2000 messages. That's not just chat messaging, that is solving a massive email overload problem and doing it so well that the big companies are happy to pay for it. In an interview, instead of saying Slack helps team communicate, instead you could say Slack's USP is reducing email dependence through organized channels, creating measurable productivity gains. This drives premium adoption in large enterprises, which accounts for 43% of revenues, showing a year-on-year growth. Now that answer shows that you understand the product, customer, and how it translates into financial performance. Now, next, how do you translate this into a habit so that you can deliver it confidently in any interview? So here is the action plan. First, do the 4-step research that we talked about. Next, summarize the USP using the star plus format, which is situation, task, action, result, plus the future implications. Time yourself while you are answering this under 2 minutes. Do this for your organization and for 2 to 3 companies in your industry. So by the time you are sitting in front of the hiring manager, you will sound like someone who is already inside the business and not an outsider guessing. Remember, mastering the USP question isn't just about getting the job or an interview offer. It is about becoming the kind of FP&A professional who drives strategy and not just report numbers. So start today. Pick up your organization, do the research, and drop your company's 2 minute USP down in the comments below. What's the next FP&A interview question that you want me to cover? Let me know that also in the comments below. And if you want me to answer more FP&A interview questions like this, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications. I will see you in the next video.